So, how do you stay motivated when you're trying to learn how to code, especially when you're trying to teach yourself how to code? This is a question I've been asked since I first started learning how to code. I've thought about it, and there were really three things that helped me whenever I thought about quitting. And there were times that I thought about quitting, like when things got really, really hard, when it seemed to be taking too long, especially at the beginning when I just kind of felt like I didn't get it, or when I was looking for jobs and it just seemed like I was never going to get anything. There are times when you're just tempted to quit. One thing I would ask myself, one thing I would imagine is what would I do if I did quit? What would I do? Go back to what I was doing before? Okay. I was not interested. Nope, didn't want to go back. Didn't want to go back to what I was doing before. Was there something else I was more interested in doing? Something else that might help me towards my goals even more than learning to code? Nope, nope, not really. Wasn't really interested in anything more than coding. And it seems like a really good way to get where I want to go. So, all right, guess I'm gonna keep going then. And that was basically the conversation I had with myself. Like, okay, imagine actually quitting. Let yourself imagine it. If you actually did quit, what would you do? Would it be better than just keeping on? So that was one thing that helped. Another thing that helped enormously, and the reason I started learning to code in the first place, was the long-term vision. I imagined what I wanted life to be like for myself, for my family, just in terms of lifestyle, income, etc. And coding seemed like a pretty good way to get there. For one thing, it was something I was actually interested in. For another thing, it has potential for a lot of growth. For another thing, I actually like the other people who are in development, and I could see myself working on a team and having a great time. So all these different things, visions of what the future could be like if I kept going, they all helped me. That helped me enormously, not only to get started, but to keep going. The third thing that helped me, and this is just more of a short-term thing, like it's important to have a long-term vision, a long-term goal, but it's not really enough. If that's all you have, and you don't have any shorter-term goals or shorter-term things that you want to achieve, it's almost like it's like doggy paddling across the ocean. you know, you might not make it just because you're going off pure willpower towards this distant thing, um, and you need like these shorter goals that are like stepping stones along the way, basically. So for me, those shorter stepping stones were projects that I wanted to build. Just going through coding exercises and learning things that you're not necessarily interested in just for their own sake can get kind of grueling and kind of boring. I always made sure I had something that I wanted to build with the stuff that I was learning. Um, and in fact, sometimes I'd building something, start building a project I was interested in making, get in way over my head, realize I just didn't have enough knowledge, my skills weren't at the level to actually build this yet, and then I'd get back to the courses and the learning. But I'd get back to them with more motivation because I had that idea of that project I wanted to build, so I knew why I was learning these things and I was motivated to learn them because of that shorter term vision, that project I wanted to make. So that was very helpful. Now, there's this other thing too, where I knew I was going to share that project. I knew I was going to share it on my YouTube channel and with LinkedIn. That motivated me too, like not only to start a project, but to actually finish it and to deploy it and to basically release it so that other people could see it. And so that was very motivating too. I imagined making the demo video and what I would say about the process and the different challenges I faced building this project. So imagination is very important if you want to stay motivated. Um, Willpower and determination, it has to come from that. It has to come from the imagination, from this distant vision of the future you're aiming towards these projects that you're excited to build. Um, those are the things that will basically give you the determination, the drive you need to keep going when the going gets tough. Um, and also giving yourself the permission to imagine quitting. Like if you imagine quitting and it just sounds like a huge relief, and you'll finally, if you quit, you'll finally be able to do this other thing that you're so much more interested in. You know what? Go for it. If if you let yourself imagine quitting and it sounds great and there's something else that you're not doing that you'd rather be doing because you're doing this instead, why? Go do that other thing. Um, Especially if that other thing is going to help you towards that long goal. So basically, give yourself permission to quit. And that's something that I did. It's like, I knew that I could quit at any time and it would be okay. And it just happened that I never really wanted to.